Scorching hot beach. You've been minding your own business for over an hour. Swimming, reading, not bothering a single soul. And then, out of nowhere, an angry old man storms over, points his finger in your face and starts screaming. If you've ever been disrespected by someone who thought they could talk down to you just because of their age, their attitude, or their sense of entitlement, this one's for you. Hit that like button, smash subscribe and settle in, because this is one of the most satisfying beach revenge stories you will ever hear. Let's get into it. It was one of those days where the sun wasn't just warm, it was aggressive. The kind of heat that makes you squint the second you step outside and turns the sand beneath your feet into something closer to the surface of the sun itself. I'd come to the beach for one reason: peace. Just me, my book, and a few hours away from the noise of everyday life. That was the plan. Simple, quiet, uncomplicated. But finding shade on that beach, that was an entirely different mission. I walked the length of that shoreline, past families with screaming kids, past groups blasting music, past couples buried under umbrellas, scanning every inch for a patch of shadow I could call my own. And then I saw them. 3, maybe 4, trees evenly spaced, their branches stretching out just enough to throw a decent strip of shade across the sand. And beneath 2 of those trees, a pair of deck chairs, solid, wooden, the kind you see lined up outside resort hotels. Now, I want to be clear about something. I knew exactly where those chairs came from. The resort behind the tree line owned them, and I had zero intention of sitting in them. That wasn't my style. But the shade was public. The beach was public. And the sand, very much public. So I laid my towel down right beside those chairs, kicked off my sandals, cracked open my book, and let out the longest exhale of my week. This was exactly what I needed. An hour passed. Maybe more. I'd been in the water twice, burned through several chapters, and hadn't exchanged a single word with another human being. Life was good. And then my bag tipped over. Just an accident. A little shift in the sand, a gust of wind, and suddenly my bag was on its side with my things half buried in the sand. No big deal. I picked it up, brushed it off, and seeing as the chair next to me had been completely unused for the entire hour, rested it up on the seat. Just for a moment. Just to keep it clean. 30 seconds. That's all it took. I'd barely turned back to my book when I heard it. Grumbling. Low, aggressive, directed grumbling. The kind that isn't quite loud enough to be a confrontation but is absolutely designed to be heard. I looked up. And there he was. Late 60s. Sun-worn skin pulled tight over a face that seemed permanently set to irritated. He walked with the posture of someone who had decided a long time ago that the world owed him something, and he was here to collect. He was staring at me, not looking, staring, with the kind of focused, narrow-eyed glare that people usually reserve for people who've genuinely wronged them. He pointed at the chair. No words, just pointed, like I was a dog who'd wandered onto his porch. I removed my bag. Course I did. And against every instinct I had in that moment, I even apologized. Begrudgingly, quietly, more out of reflex than sincerity. That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. He kept grumbling, moving the chair around, muttering under his breath in a way that was clearly designed to get under my skin, without ever saying anything direct enough for me to actually respond to. I turned back to my book, kept my face neutral. I breathed slowly. Let it go, I told myself. Just let it go. And then his wife arrived. And the temperature, already brutal, somehow got hotter. Together they turned on me. Both of them. Voices rising, accents thick. Arms gesturing wildly toward the open stretch of beach behind them. You have the whole beach. And you choose here. I felt something shift inside me. Not anger, not yet. It was something quieter than anger. Colder. The feeling you get when you realize that someone isn't just rude. They've decided you don't deserve basic human respect. That you're beneath a simple, civil conversation. And that was the moment I made my decision. I wasn't moving. Not because of the shade. Not because of the chair. But because no one, regardless of age, regardless of accent, regardless of how many summers they'd spent at whatever resort they'd booked, gets to speak to another person that way and walk away feeling justified. Calmly. And I want to emphasize that word, calmly. I looked up from my book and said, "You could also choose to sit anywhere along the beach." Simple. Polite. Devastating. They erupted. The man's face went red. He straightened up, stepped closer, and pointed directly at me, and in the most dramatically indignant voice I have ever heard in my life shouted, "You're crazy! You're crazy! You put your luggage on my chair." I let the words hang in the air for a moment. "I've been here for over an hour," I said quietly. "It wasn't an issue until now." "We were here longer," he shot back, as though somehow that made his chair more of a chair and my towel less of a towel. I genuinely didn't follow the logic. I still don't. I simply told them, with complete sincerity, that I didn't have an issue with the situation, and I went back to reading. They stormed into the sea, and I sat back, turned a page and smiled. Here's the thing about people like that couple. They don't want a debate. They want submission. They want you to shrink, gather your things with a quiet, embarrassed mumble, and disappear so they can settle into their chairs feeling victorious. Every few minutes I could see them, treading water out past the shallows, glancing back at the shore, checking, waiting, hoping, and every time they looked, I was still there, book open, completely unbothered, occasionally glancing back with the most serene expression I could manage. I'll be honest with you. I had been about ready to leave for lunch before all of this started. My stomach was already making suggestions, but something about their certainty, their absolute confidence that I would fold, made leaving feel like surrender. So I stayed. Half an hour I sat there, and it was genuinely one of the more peaceful half hours of my entire trip. Eventually, the man waded back to shore. He moved his chair, slowly, deliberately. At one point he angled it directly over my head, letting it hang there, as though the shadow of it might intimidate me somehow. I didn't look up. Then, and I want you to really picture this grown man somewhere in his late 60s, decided that his next move was to walk directly across my towel, while I was sitting on it. And as he walked, he kicked, and, deliberately, flicked up with each step, aimed directly at me. I brushed it off my arms. I brushed it off my book. And I said, still calm, still measured, "That's real kind of you. I'd have thought with age comes manners." Pause. "It's honestly a little embarrassing, a man your age behaving like this." He said nothing, but his jaw tightened, and he sat down hard in his chair. I gave it another half hour. His wife, still in the water, was beginning to resemble something that had been left in the sun too long. Her determination to stay in the sea rather than share the shade with me was, I had to admit, genuinely impressive. Finally, I decided I was done. Not because they'd won, but because I was hungry, and I had somewhere better to be. I stood up slowly. I gathered my things with a kind of unhurried, deliberate calm that I knew would be infuriating to watch. I checked for everything. And then I picked up my towel. Climactic revenge payoff. One great swoop. Maybe two just for good measure. I snapped that towel through the air and sent every single grain of sand he had kicked at me, flying directly at him. The look on his face, pure, unfiltered, rage. He went red instantly, shot upright in his chair, started shouting, and then, I kid you not, he reached down, grabbed a fistful of sand and hurled it straight at me. And here's where it gets beautiful. See, during the half hour I'd spent sitting there, waiting, being called crazy, I hadn't just been reading. I'd been noticing things. Like, for example, the direction of the wind. That fistful of sand rose up into the air, hung there for just a moment, and blew, perfectly, completely, magnificently, straight back into his face. I don't think either of us could have planned that better. I looked at him, sand coating his face, his sunglasses, his dignity, and I said, "Have a wonderful day." And I walked away, down the beach, and hurried, at high. And from somewhere behind me, carried on that same perfect breeze. I heard it. Idiot! Idiot! I waved to his wife, still shriveling in the water, without looking back. And I went and had the best lunch of my entire vacation. Reflective wrap-up. You know, I didn't plan any of that. I didn't go to the beach looking for a fight. All I wanted was some shade and a quiet afternoon. But sometimes the universe has a way of handling things for you, especially when the wind is blowing in the right direction. If this story put a smile on your face, or gave you that deep, satisfying feeling that justice was truly served, smash that like button right now. Means the world. And drop a comment below. What is the most satisfying moment of natural justice you have ever witnessed? I read every single one. Now here's the thing. We upload 2 brand new stories every single day right here on American Sleep Tales. Every single revenge stories, creepy encounters, satisfying karma, the kind of stories that keep you up at night, in the best possible way. So if you don't want to miss a single one, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on the notification bell, so YouTube notifies you the moment a new story drops. American Sleep Tales, your daily dose of justice, karma, and satisfying revenge. I'll see you in the next story. Sleep well if you can.